This episode of the RMR Training Podcast is brought to you by RoxOpt. RoxOpt is the number one analytics tool for your Hyrox racing and training. I've used it the past year, and it has, without a doubt, made me a better, smarter athlete. Getting to see everything in one spot and not having to make guesses about where you are strong and where you are weak, what you need to work on, it makes a world of difference. It's helped me understand what I need to do in training and how to approach race day. You can get your free custom report with the link down in the show notes. Thank you to RoxOpt. Hey squad, before we get into today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to the RMR Training app. Yes. So the RMR Training app has our brand new 12-week training program. This is our flagship program that we point a lot of our athletes who come into the RMR Training app toward. It's going to be progressive. It's one of our peak and perform plans that will have a progression and will lead you in to your next Hyrox event. Each year, we take what we've learned in the past, we keep what did work, and we get rid of the things that we think didn't work, or we iterate on it so that it works better. And this year, we're really excited because it's in our brand new platform for the app that also includes the RMR community. The community has a robust number of athletes already in there who are training specifically for Hyrox. So there's a ton of support. All the coaches here at RMR Training are in there answering questions, making sure that people know exactly what they need to do to improve their Hyrox. You can get all of this, the brand new program, for 12 weeks, and we have nearly a dozen other programs, all for one price. It's just $39.95 a month. We're real excited about this new 12-week program, as now we have things like it's a better user experience being in on the community. We have long-form video guidance within the actual app itself. We have native Hyrox leaderboards that we've built from scratch. Most of the leaderboards now don't really cross over very well for Hyrox. This one we built so it makes perfect sense for Hyrox, and a lot more cool features in the 12-week program and the app. You can check that out with the link down in the show notes. Let's get to the episode. Hello, what's going on? My name is Rich Ryan. Welcome to the RMR Training Podcast. Today, I'm going to do a solo episode talking about the ins and outs of building a Hyrox training program. So first, if you're enjoying these kind of shorter single topic episodes, just drop us a comment down below on YouTube or on Spotify. And if you're not following us on Spotify or on YouTube, give us that follow, hit us with a like. That would be awesome. But only if you like it and want to follow it, of course. So we're going to go into pretty good details about how I have structured my own training and structured training for athletes that I've coached. So ultimately, at the end of this, you're going to have the tools to understand how to build your own training program and some of the things to kind of look out for and some of the things to avoid, whether that's how much aerobic work to do, how much VO2 max work to do, how much anaerobic threshold work to do, and then how to lay that out in a cohesive manner to lead you to a specific goal. So we're going to be talking about progression. We're going to be talking about specific workouts. We're going to give it all, right? So we're just going to do the best practices for what I've found when making a Hyrox training program. So this is extremely valuable. And if you aren't quite sure how to build a program, there's a lot of resources out there, but you're ultimately going to have a hard time with the trust in your training. If you have not followed something that is going to be a bit more systematic and is going to help you understand where you've come from and where you're going, each day you'll have less of an idea or less confidence in what you're doing is actually working. So that is one of the things that's extremely helpful when it comes to having a program to follow, is that you don't need to worry about what you're doing. You can trust that what you're doing is building on top of itself. And ultimately, that's how we're going to get better, right? The principles of progressive overload apply to strength, endurance, intensity, volume, whatever you want to do. Building something slowly on top of the previous thing that you've done is ultimately what's going to help you take steps to become a better athlete and get better results. Where if you're just kind of winging it and, taking a class here or there and just kind of building workout that you think is fun, or grabbing something from the internet, taking something from Instagram and just what am I going to do today? And just kind of writing on the whiteboard and not really knowing what you did 2 weeks prior, 3 weeks prior, That is ultimately what's going to keep most athletes the most stuck, or is going to make the progress slower. The best way to really expedite your progress is to make sure that you are using the principles of progressive overload so that you can get better pretty much week after week for an extended period of time, not indefinitely, but for quite some time. You can build on top of your fitness, and then you can build on that fitness from the next program. And then it's like years and years compounded. And then ultimately, you're going to be the best athlete version of yourself that you could potentially be. But you have to have a specific angle and a specific plan to get there. And you don't have to be super rigid, right? Like, it just isn't like you need a 10-year training program starting tomorrow. That's not really what I'm talking about here. But it's more having like specific blocks, right? So if you have a race and you want to train for that race, figuring out the best ways to do that. So along those lines, the best way to do that before we even start is knowing where the end point is. If you don't know the destination, then you can't even make the first move in a way that you can have confidence. If you don't know where you're going, the first turn could be the wrong turn. So that's the first thing. So you really need to know where you're going to finish. And this could be just your goal in terms of time. Not even like what you want to accomplish, just when you want to accomplish it. Because then you can start to figure out how you're going to work backwards and get to that a goal within that time frame, right? So this could be a race. For most of us, it's going to be a race, right? So taking a look at the calendar, circling, it's like, all right, there's Toronto in this long, there is Perth in this long, there's London. So let's circle that day and be like, this is where the destination is in terms of time. I would always recommend having the time goal, right? Having some sort of time cutoff. Having a results oriented goal around a training program is really challenging because you just don't know. You don't know what kind of progress. It's really not it's not predictable. You can potentially project because of your previous experience, but my experience is gonna be different than your experience, and your experience is gonna be different than someone else's experience based off of like how long they've been doing it, what your background is, what how well you actually train, how hard you go, how well you recover. All these things are going to factor in lifestyle, right? Like what's going on in your life. What are some things that you can't control? All these things are going to determine how long it takes you to get better at something. So if you're like, I want to run 4 minute kilometer pace for my Hyrox race, it's like, that's great, but like and you're starting at a 4:30. It's like, yes, that would be awesome to take off 4 minutes just from your runs, right? But that is a very that is not like tangible enough. It seems like it is very tangible, like it is the outcome that you want to get. It's like, okay, I was 4:30 and now I'm 4, but you just don't know. And if you start going down that path and say you want to get there in 12 weeks and in 6 weeks you've only improved 3 seconds per kilometer and you're at, 4:27 and you're like, I'm not going to make it. And you're not going to make it not because of a lack of effort. You could be doing everything right and you could get to 4 minute kilometers, but it's going to take you 52 weeks. It's going to take you 2 years. And you could be going on that right path by improving. Any improvement is positive. But if you're thinking, oh, okay, like I'm not getting there, then you're going to probably change plans. Or you're going to off ramp. You're going to do something else. You're like, this isn't working. And because you're not seeing the progress in a short amount of time, even in this 12-week block, when the goal is just not realistic. So setting some sort of actual outcome goal is very hard. So having some sort of process goal that you're going to approach is much better, and having the timeline is ultimately where we need to start, right? So you need to pick a date. Once you have that race on the calendar, you can see how long you have to train. So if it is 12 weeks, if it is 8 weeks, if it's 16 weeks, whatever that is, I kind of like those numbers, honestly, like 8 to 16 weeks for a specific training block. Anything longer, it's obviously doable, but anything longer I feel is a little bit less palatable. You're setting yourself up for overtraining, and then you might actually be headed down the wrong path, right? Like that's another thing too. If you do something and you do it for an extended period without any type of pause or reflection, then you might just head down the wrong path exponentially. And you just might have no idea. Like you might get to the end after 24 weeks and be like, I just wasted half a year with the wrong thing, or something that would be uh, less valuable than what you could have been doing. So making sure that you're not taking like forever on with your training program is something I'd recommend. Having shorter chunks, like right, if you have a year-long goal, right, like you already qualified for Stockholm, then for sure, like then it's like that's my goal. But then you should still have like blocks of training along the way that you can kind of work backwards on, and picking a date across those boards, having like a B race, A race sometime in the fall, whatever that is. So from there, again, the training based goal is the move, having something you want to work on, right? So that you can be like, I want to get better at running. That's fine. Like that, it kind of goes against like the quantifiability that we hear of like SMART goals or whatever. But like once you have that goal in place, you can be like, okay, I need to get better at running. So instead of being like, what do I want to be able to accomplish? Um, what do I want to be able to see in metrics? It's like, what do I want to be able to accomplish in training? And with it being, say, like running, we'll use that same goal instead of being like, I want to run 4-minute kilometers, be like, I want to run 60 kilometers per week. And that type of goal is much easier to work toward because it's much more in your hands than the pace, because we can't really project what your pace is going to be, even if you are hitting those markers. But if you're at 40 kilometers per week and you're like, I want to bump it to 60 in a safe way, then you can really start working toward that, right? So when you work backwards, you want to make sure that you have that end goal for your training in mind. So for me, what I like to do, I like to have some sort of marker along those lines where if I'm training, I have like these zone 4 goals, right? I was like, I want to be at 100 minutes of zone 4, 2 to 3 weeks before my race, right? And that's another thing too. You want to back it up. You can't take it like, so if you have 10 weeks before a race, you can't really use all 10 weeks in training because at least the last week is going to be taper. So you need to back up that goal to where it makes sense for your timeline. So if it's like, okay, I have 10 weeks, I want to run 60 kilometers per week. You actually need to be there like 8 weeks out, right? And if you're at 40 weeks now, then you can start to add those goals, start to kind of play things out. Be like, okay, each week I can I could do X amount of time to get me to 60 and not need to make big jumps. A really big mistake that athletes will make is trying to get there too quickly, right? So it's like this training block, I want to run 60 kilometers per week. And then the first week they try to do it. And the second week they're injured, right? So like making sure that you're building an appropriate progression around where you are. And we'll touch on that a little bit later so that you can understand kind of where that all will go. So now that you have different goals, some goals like I said, I want to be able to hold a 60-minute high-end Hyrox workout. I want to be zone 4 for the majority of a race simulation. I want to accumulate X amount of minutes, 100 minutes at zone 4 in a single week, right? These are examples of goals that you could do. I want to do 2 days of strength training. I want to push the sled 2 days of training per week or whatever. I want to do 400 wall balls a week, whatever it is, right? Having some sort of goal that way based around training is the move, right? And if it is the appropriate stimulus, you will get better for sure. But instead of being like, I want to take 10 minutes off my Hyrox, it's like, we're not really sure. Like you might do all these things. Going from 40 to 60 might take 6 minutes off of your Hyrox PR. And then if you do it again, like then you might get another 2 minutes. And then if you do something similar again, you might get 4 minutes. So like that's how this progress is actually going to work. So now if you're building a week, so let's start there, right? Because if you can build one specific week, like how each day in this microcycle is going to look, then you can build 2 weeks. And if you can build 2 weeks, you can build 3 weeks. But ultimately, you need to be able to build one week that makes sense, that is repeatable. And that's what's really important on this first step. What is going to work within your schedule? What's going to be an appropriate amount of training that you could do per week, and how much rest can you take, right? So what you need to do is so in this example, we're gonna stick around like a 7-day week for the sake of this. It's a Monday through Sunday, right? Like you don't need to, it's just easier. So you could do an expanded 9, 10, 14-day week, and that keeps and that is a way to I'm sneezing. Oof, thought I could hold it. Nope, no sneeze button or nothing. Thought I could do it. Couldn't. All right, no edits. Raw, uncut, authentic content from RMR Training. You get that here. So if we are trying to structure our week, our microcycle, we're going to just use 7 days for this example. Like I said, you can do 9, 10, 14, and that allows you to add some more things in your microcycle instead of cramming them into a 7-day cycle, because that's often what could happen. Is stuff that I've done for sure is when I will be like, I want to do more ski erg work. And then I just do more ski erg work on top of the work that I've already been doing. So that reduces my recovery and ultimately like doesn't help me get that much better. I will get a little bit better at it to a certain point, but then I keep adding. It's like, okay, now I want to get better at wall balls. Now I want to get better at lunges. And I just like add until I can't do anymore or my progress stalls. So stretching things out to a 9, 10, 14-day week. So you're like, all right, on day 3, I do wall balls, and on day 7, I do wall balls, and then again on day 10. So then you have some time to rest in between, and like you can kind of build out a cycle that way. I do like this approach, but it is hard to manage. Things just don't fall the way that you want them to fall often. Over the weekends, there's life stuff. 7 days makes sense. It's how our world is structured, and so that's generally how we're going to build out our singular weeks. So as you start to get into this, the first pieces that I want to make sure I'm accounting for are what I would call an aerobic component. So your aerobic component day is going to have something that has like steady state aerobic work. And that doesn't mean zone 2. That could mean there's some sort of element of zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. So these could also include quality days. So let's just say you have in your 7-day week, you want to make sure that you have 5 aerobic components, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So these are your aerobic component days. And this is just blanket, right? I would do at least this much training for Hyrox, but you could do 7. And this is like days, right? You can do more sessions as well, right? So if you're doing, you can do like 14 sessions if you're doing doubles every day of something that is like aerobically has some sort of aerobic component. I don't know if I'd recommend that. Depends on who you are, but 5 is, I think, the bare minimum. You could probably get away with 4, depending on where your progress is, depending on how on your experience level. You could probably get away with 4, but I would recommend 5. And this doesn't just mean running, right? This could be cycling, the ergs, whatever it is, but something that is more steady state and aerobic, because that is going to be the base of the race, is having an aerobic component, is being aerobically strong. We're at a 60-minute to 2-hour race. So that we have to stay aerobic for. We just have to. So being able to work better and have a stronger aerobic system is going to be the crux. It should be more than half of the work, right? So I would consider this non-negotiable. So you can't, and then like I said, you can put in some other pieces, but I would highly recommend 5 days of aerobic component within the 7-day structure. So what do I do with the other 2 days? So I personally would start with rest. I would look at these days, like the days that are remaining are Wednesday and Saturday. I would then kind of work those into being rest at first, but they could also be strength. Strength days alone could work. It could be another aerobic component day. It could be strength and aerobic component day. It could be one strength day. It could be one aerobic component day. It could be one strength day, one rest day. It could be 2 rest days. It could be any combination of those three things, because those are the three elements that you're going to want to account for when building out your Hyrox training program. Aerobic component, strength, and rest. Right. And these can all look different. These aren't all one thing. A strength day isn't necessarily like, oh, back squats, 5x5, bench press, 4x5, whatever. These could all be different, right? These could be mixed modal strength with aerobic component. This could be rest in terms of like mobility or yoga, or recovery, a hike, whatever it is. But those are the three components when building out your microcycle that you want to account for. So that's what we need to figure out first. The five aerobic component days, and then however you want to do the other two. It's up to you. From here, you're going to want to put in a when you want your quality sessions, right? And this is really important when it comes to figuring out how you want to build out your microcycle, macrocycle, mesocycle, all the cycles. You need to know where you're going to put your quality sessions. And when these are put in, you don't need to, but like you should protect these days as much as possible. We want to make sure we're coming into these quality sessions with some juice, and whatever gets you the most juice is what you should put like directly in front of it. If that's a rest day, if that's a strength day, if that's an aerobic component day, it could vary, right? Like you might do well, like you might do a 60-minute easy run, and the next day be like, I'm ready to go hard. You might do a strength day and be like, I didn't do any, my aerobic system's ready, I can go. Or it might complete rest. Physically, I feel great. Mentally, I feel great. Aerobically, I'm ready, right? Or you could feel flat, whatever it is. You need to figure that out. But for this sake, I would always want at least 2 non-quality days between quality sessions, right? So I would not do back-to-back. There is a place for back-to-back quality sessions in other sport where being able to go hard under fatigue matters. Here, it's just like not that long of a race. It is long to the point where you need to be aerobic, but it's not so long that muscularly, like the fatigue's going to wear on you the way that it would for the Tour de France, which is just like an endless amount of cycling for 1,000,000 days in a row, a marathon, an ultra marathon, right? An Ironman, a half Ironman, really like honestly, even like a half marathon. A lot of this is going to be how well you can operate under heavy muscular fatigue. I don't believe in Hyrox we need that at all. We need, of course, like we will be operating under heavy fatigue, but we still want to be able to go fast. And if we are inhibiting our ability to go fast during our quality sessions, ultimately, what are we training? Do we want to train how to grind ourselves through this to be slow? It's like, no, let's train to be fast so that we can get through it faster. So we are doing less in terms of like the overall fatigue of it all. So I would want to place, again, 2 easy days before any quality sessions. So for the sake of this, let's say we're going to do Tuesday and then we are going to do Friday, right? And then we'll have an aerobic component day on Wednesday and a rest or a strength day, or 2 aerobic component days. But whatever it is, it's easy. It's easy between that. And then from Friday, we have Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we're going to get 3 days in between that. For me, how I like to place this, I want to circle one of those days as the primary quality session where I know I will feel my best. And usually that's with a rest day. So I'll put a quality session right after a rest day so that I'm feeling the most physically, mentally, aerobically capable. And that's where I put that. So that can depend on you, right? So it does, like, so for me, if in this example, if I had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I'm doing something all those days, by Tuesday, I might be carrying some fatigue. Where you think that's 3 days between your quality sessions, but if these other sessions also come with fatigue. So I might be less ready on Tuesday, even though there's 3 days between aerobic component days, as opposed to if I took Wednesday easy and Thursday off. By the time I get to Friday, I might be feeling better, even with just 2 days in between quality session days. So that's just up to you, right? That's up to you to figure out what you want to do more in terms of like how you recover and what allows you to recover best, right? So, okay. So now we have our week. Congratulations. So now we just do it again. we just we just do the same exact thing again. And we want to make sure that we are doing this because we want it to be predictable. We want to understand how we're feeling. If we do it 1 week, we might not have any clue. It's like, okay, I took a rest day and then I had an aerobic component day and I felt pretty good. So this time I'm going to switch it up. Like, don't switch that up. Do the exact same cadence of the layout. So if it's Monday aerobic component, Tuesday aerobic component, Wednesday strength, Thursday aerobic component, Friday aerobic component quality. Tuesday was also quality. Saturday rest, Sunday aerobic component, whatever. We're just going to take that microcycle template and just plop it into the next week. This is absolutely critical. This not only makes it predictable for how you're going to feel, but also makes it a little bit easier for your schedule. And this is the difference between like that 10-day cycle, because like, it's like, all right, on Tuesdays, I generally do this for work. And then I'm a little stressed out. So it doesn't always work well. So I'm going to make that a rest day or whatever. Right. And then the next Tuesday, those kind of cycles end up being predictable. And we're switching things up, it becomes less predictable. So we want to make sure that we are doing what we're doing with some predictability. The caveat here, right, is this is where we add progression. So now let's say we wanted that, have that goal of, let me just try to do this math really quick. If we wanted to, I should have done this before but I'm just out here just talking, dude. So let's just say we needed to add, we're starting at 40 kilometers per week. We have, and we want to get this, we want to get to 60 in like 8 weeks, right? So that's adding 2.5 kilometers per week, right? That's not that much. And you can get there. So say like that's your goal. Your target goal is to improve your total amount of running volume per week. So if that's just straight up it, then you can just take a look at those days and be like, I'm going to add 1 kilometer onto my run on Monday. I'm going to add 1.5 kilometers to my run on Thursday. And then you've hit that goal and then you're progressing. And it's short, but you've done more. And I promise you that if you are hitting your workouts in this cycle, like to the ability of where you should be, like kind of like in a good starting point, anything that you add each week is going to feel like more, even if it is just 3 minutes more of running, right? If it's like 4 minutes longer of running, you're going to be like, man, last week I did 54, this week 58. Like you have to do something a little bit different. So the stimulus does change. The stimulus improves. And then the next week, you do the same thing. You're just like, okay, now I'm going to add another kilometer to Monday, and add a kilometer on Wednesday and a half a kilometer to Thursday. And now it's like, it's more time. And building slightly like that is going to allow you to understand how that time is going to affect your training program and how well you're going to be able to manage that time. Man, my sneeze again. I think we made it. When I swim, sometimes it's like, I don't know what the chlorine, the water, nose gives me the sneezies sometimes. But we persevere. That's what we do. So that's how that progression, that's just standard progression. And again, I promise it's like, even if it is, a mile a week, 2 miles per week, after 6 weeks, that's a lot more time. Like it's more time. So you need to go slowly. So that is also going to help you understand how you're feeling physically. Not it's going to work in your schedule, but also like physically, you're going to be like, yeah, this is something. I'm doing a little bit more. And you can catch things easier if you're building slowly. If you build in big chunks, you will have a harder time really feeling out what's happening, and like you might just get hurt. So this will give you time to kind of catch those things, so that when you are feeling less good, less strong, you can catch it. You can get some sort of intervention, soft tissue work, rests, ice, recovery, whatever you can do. This is the same thing, right? Like if your goal was, if you're starting at, let me just use something similar, right? If you're starting at 60 minutes of zone 4 work and you want to get to 100, that's 40. And say we have 8 weeks to get there. We'll just do 5 minutes each time. So you can split that in between, in 2.5 each session, or have a big chunk of 5 on top of one session. And this is like a progression that like is hard but doable. And I promise you, when you're doing a 35-minute zone 4 workout, and this week you got to do a 40-minute zone 4 workout, those 4 minutes, those like 5 minutes are going to suck. But you're going to be able to do it because you just did 35. It's not that much more. It's a little bit more. But if you went from 30 to 60, you're going to miss it. You're not going to hit it. You're either going to go way too slow up front, so your intensity is going to suffer, or you're going to die at 45 minutes, and those last 15 minutes are going to be trash. You're going to leave feeling like you didn't accomplish what you wanted to do, and you're probably not going to have great progression. Then you're going to like, do I do less next time? Then it's going to just kind of set you back. So just like small progressions week over week are very helpful. So just like standard, some standard progression best practices that I found is 10% of your weekly total volume, right? Like if you wanted to just like add miles or kilometers to each week on running or on the ski or the total time, whatever it is, 10% is like super safe. But also it's going to be challenging over the long haul, right? Over the course of 8, 10, 12 weeks, that will be challenging. Then, so yeah, I like that too for total time, just blanket statement, like 10 minutes, 10, 20 minutes across all modalities can kind of work. For strength, you can just add like a rep, 5 pounds, whatever that is. It's not crazy. And I like the 5 minutes for like the zone 4 stuff. I think that is like enough. And like that will get gnarly fast. So like taking your time to really kind of build things up. So that's what I would recommend in terms of just like blanket approach for how to add your progression. Now, a deload. Should you do this? What does that mean? So a deload would be basically it's a planned reduction in volume and intensity. So a great way to do this is like kind of a standard rule of thumb, every third or fourth week, taking about 30% off of both intensity and volume as like kind of planned rest. And this is just getting ahead of it. And this is getting ahead of like potential burnout. Like if you're just like riding it for 12 weeks, like you might be able to get there for sure, but this is just like a safe way to make sure that you're not. So this might need to be accounted for, right? So yeah, again, the 12-week program might actually be where you need to kind of get to your spot like 2 weeks before your taper. Add in 2 deload weeks. You're actually looking at 8 weeks for these 12 weeks because 1 or 2 weeks is going to be taper, 1 or 2 weeks is going to be down. So when building out that progression, you need to account for this. And usually I like to build, so you can progress directly after that progression, or you can just match what you did the week before, right? So if you did like 60 kilometers, you drop it to back down to like 40 again, 42 would be that percent. And the next week you jump back to 60 and then you continue that progression in 66 or whatever, the following couple of weeks. So usually I like to match where I left off. And again, that will be even more time. So if you choose to do that, that would be what you need to do, right? You actually only have like 6 weeks then to progress. So you really need to be cautious. So if you're going to build these in, do this up front so you know where that endpoint is going to be with the deloads in there. I don't feel like these are absolutely mandatory, especially in hybrid racing and training, where you can kind of mitigate just like the wear and tear. A lot of times it's just like physical wear and tear that needs this. So if you're feeling beat up, or if you're seeing a downward trend in like your recovery data, if you are tracking your sleep data, your resting heart rate, that type of stuff, and like it's been negative for more than 4 days, I think, or just like down from where you would, I would think that might be an indicator of being like, okay, I might need to take some extended rest here, or if you're just like being aggressive, right? If you're just like doing high volume, then I would probably recommend having some sort of deload in there. It's hard when you're being aggressive because you want to stay aggressive when you're already doing it, but you will need to chill out because being aggressive with high volume is perfect way to burn out, get hurt. But if you're already taking like rest days and you're on top of your training recovery metrics, you're doing a lot of recovery things that you know make you feel better. If your mental vigor for training is high, if physically you are continuing to improve, then you don't need to take a deload. It's just a good practice. But like for me, I don't often take these deload weeks because I can be pretty locked in with how long I've been doing this. I'm like, I'm fine. But if I'm not fine, I will take one. But they don't need to do it. And then finally, this is where you start building those workouts, right? How does that look? You have your endpoint. You understand how you can do 1 week. So then you can understand how to do 2 weeks. You have your progression set. Now you can build the workouts in there. What does that look like? Monday, aerobic component. What is that? 45 minutes run? Sure. What is it? 45 minutes mixed ski modality stuff? Definitely. This is where it's going to be incredibly individual. And that's what's so fun about this type of training is that like you can kind of go in a bunch of different directions. So you don't need to be like dead set on any one type of program. I think there's better ways to do it than others, but each individual is going to be, and also because like each individual is coming from such a varied background, they might need something different than someone else. So you don't need to do what anyone else is doing. But I think there's some stimulus that is going to be better than others, right? And that's where we have the RMR Training app. That's why we provide that. We have over 500 different workouts and dozens of programs, including things like the Hyrox 12-week, a base builder program, running for Hyrox. We have a 10-week advanced training for Hyrox that we just rolled out. We have a lot of cool stuff over there that is just going to help you either get some inspiration from workouts, show you how we kind of build out each workout. And it's all built by myself, Ryan Kent, and Meg Jacoby. A lot of different methods to figure out how to go about training. That's why we have it, right? Just so like if you like having fun doing this and figuring out how you want these programs to work, by all means, take it on. But if you're just like, God, I wish someone else could do this for me, then we got you. Then we got you. But that's the final step. You get to build your workouts. It's super fun. And then you just plop those into your microcycle. You repeat those two to three times. Take a deload week if needed, and just build that progression out to find your final point for your race. Have the end target in mind with where you want to go. Training goals, not result-oriented goals that will only make you frustrated and will make you jump from program to program. You're going to think that nothing's working when you're just being impatient and you're the problem. So you need to stick to a program and see it all the way through no matter what it is. The only time I recommend moving off a program is if just like it's too much and you just can't do it. And like immediately you feel awful and you're feeling bad here or there. It's like, okay, this might not be for me because this might be a little bit too much. And then you could work your way back up to a program like that. But if it's just like a blanket, like here's a high volume program, have fun, then I would probably jump off of it. Other than that, if it feels like it's too easy, you can always add. If it feels like you want to do more, don't. Generally, see where it's going. See where it's going. The whole goal of a Hyrox training program, any training program, is making sure you're hitting the workouts. So if you feel like they're too easy, go faster. That's it. Go faster. If you're like, oh, that wasn't long enough, go faster. And ideally, it will take you there. If it's like, okay, each workout is only like 10, 20 minutes, then do a different one. That's probably not going to get you there. That's a whole different thing. But as long as it's like building and progressing and you see where it's going, you're like, okay, I believe if I can get to this point in terms of volume, intensity, output, whatever it is, then do it. It's not like, it would not be good if it's like, I want to do a 20-minute workout faster. That would be stupid because it's a 60-minute to 120-minute event. Okay. Done and done. Thanks for checking this out again. If you're liking these shorter, kind of to the point podcasts, just solo, just drop us some comments, give us some likes, subscribe, all that jazz. We would really appreciate it. I hope this is helpful for you. If you're looking for a program that would be suitable, check out the RMR Training app. Got a great community rocking in there. Got some cool stuff about to roll. We're talking about the Hyrox 12-week. We have a new Hyrox 12-week program that will be available in mid-August. 12-week just based off. So each year kind of retire the previous one and add an a better version from the previous learnings that we had. So that will be available mid-August for those of you who will be racing in November. It's a great time to start. Really cool stuff going on over there. Appreciate you all. Talk to you soon.